Hello, my name is Jeff Jagger. I'd like to welcome you to part 2 of our Leading People Through Change discussion. Our topic today is change strategies, specifically how to employ change strategies to influence the success of your project. Before we begin, it's important to highlight that change management we're going to talk about today provides the processes, tools, and techniques that are used to execute the people side of change on a project or an initiative. The goal of change management is to help increase the potential success of a project or initiative by helping the people make the transition from their current state to the future state resulting from the change effort. Helping stakeholders adapt to change is a very stressful and challenging aspect of leading projects, but is often the key differentiator between success and failure of your efforts. My colleague, Michelle Marcus, is going to walk you through 3 different change strategies and what to consider when selecting which one to employ. Michelle?
Thanks, Jeff, and hello, everyone. As a follow-up to part 1 of our Leading People Through Change discussion, where we introduced the change curve and how to use it on your project, today we will walk through different strategies you can employ to help guide and support people as they move along the change curve, which we call change strategies. And let's keep in mind that even well-thought-out change strategies will encounter unexpected roadblocks and surprises. 3 strategies we'll explore today are forced coercion, rational persuasion, and shared power. Forced coercion is described as using positional power to create change through formal authority or force. Reward and punishment is usually the power behind forced coercion. Leadership behaviors include direct force, political maneuvering, and sometimes threats. One organization that lives and breathes forced coercion is the military, known for their command and control structure. Rational persuasion is used to create change through empirical argument or data. Expertise is the power behind the strategy, and leaders usually reference facts, studies, and even bring experts in to persuade stakeholders as to why the change is required. Doctors employ this strategy all the time with their patients, citing what the consequences will be if the patient doesn't start to change their diet or begin to exercise. Shared power develops support for the change through personal values and commitments. Participation and reference drives shared power. In employing shared power, we'll see efforts to collaborate on decisions and the involvement of stakeholders in the planning and implementation of the change. This is when we see focus groups, change agents, pilot groups, and steering committees made up of impacted stakeholders. Co-ops are a great example of how shared power is used in an organization. Members are involved in decision-making and even sit on the board. Like the change curve, these strategies are not meant to imply right or wrong. There are also risks associated with all 3 strategies, and they all thrive when used in the right culture and when managed in the right way. For instance, could you imagine a military organization using shared power? What would happen if a general gathered his troops for an all-hands to discuss their thoughts on the battlefield plan? He sets them in a circle and shares that he really wants to know what ideas they have and how they feel the strategy should be implemented. In a command and control organization, a structure that's in place for the safety of its people, this would not go over well. Jeff, I know you have some examples of how you've employed these strategies at your current client.
Thanks, Michelle. During a long, complex project, you may leverage a variety of change strategies to move people along the change curve. On my recent enterprise scheduling system implementation, the project charter was signed in November of 2006 and was the initial push to start moving the organization through the change curve. This project charter was my client's way of using forced coercion to influence organizational change and gave a requirement to migrate all users to the enterprise scheduling system within 4 years. In September of 2007, we initiated a project to focus the first implementation of one particular stakeholder group. At that time, Point B, leveraging rational persuasion, brought a proven package system implementation methodology to lead this effort. This proven methodology was adopted as a recipe for success as many of the stakeholders' unanswered questions were addressed. Throughout the end of 2008 and early 2009, the project was focused on developing and testing processes within the new system. In January of 2009, we established the program implementation template that would be used by each of these programs to make the final step of the implementation. These templates included the remaining steps for implementation, including final process issue resolution, training development and execution, along with decision gates for progress. The program focals worked with the implementation team to build out durations and effort for these tasks. Based on the activities in the schedule, implementation dates were set. The outcome was an implementation plan that the programs had shared ownership and accountability, and in 2 cases, was 14 months earlier than originally estimated. So in conclusion, I wanted to quickly recap the topics of today's presentation. Sometimes the technical challenges of a project can be very difficult, and when combining them with the challenges of transitioning people, it can get overwhelming. adding some additional tools to your leadership and project management toolbox will hopefully reduce the complexity of those challenges. We learned the definition of change management, and we learned about different change strategies and considered some lessons in implementing these strategies. Thank you for tuning in to this topic. Please do contact us if you have further questions.